there are so many things that happened in this final chapter that I want to talk about, and there are two that are really, really killing me on which ones I want to start off with. So I'll just go with the thing that surprised me most. Tatsumi had sex. And he has a child. Which the gender, I think, is left ambiguous, yeah. But mine woke up. That was one surprise alone. But the fact that they really did get it on, I mean, thinking back, that was like on par with Lion King's Doomy Eyes. Which was really not appropriate for a PG movie. But this is a seinen manga. Or is this shonen, actually? I actually forgot. Is it shonen or shonen? Either way, lots of death, and now explicit tone of conceiving of a child. So they got it on. They got it on real good. I'm guessing condoms don't exist. And again, sex has never really been a thing they've shied away from if we think about it. Like, perversion was definitely a thing that a lot of these corrupt people that they killed over the series had. So sex was definitely existent. Condoms? Fuck no. They're like Vegeta, like, what the fuck's a condom? But enough of the references and stupid jokes. Tatsumi lives, and he stays his dragon form forever. But he still has that beautiful wife, which, sadly, I realize now, going back to the joke, he can no longer bone. Because she's a tiny girl, and he's a dragon, so he must have a huge dragon cock. Okay, I think I went a little too far. Either way, that child's their only child. And he is stuck as a dragon forever, as his village later learns, stated in the epilogue. So, yeah. Sadly, there was actually some talk in the comments that maybe we'd get more of a, final goodbye to Esdeath, who was such a central plot point of this series, and we didn't. Which I actually really didn't like. But then again, back then I assumed that maybe there'd be 2 more chapters. But after seeing how they put together this chapter, leaving out the Esdeath goodbye that many people definitely wanted, it makes sense that it would only actually take 1 chapter to wrap everything else up otherwise. But regardless, it didn't feel rushed, but it's still sad that it just ended. And if you check on, Wikipedia, basically this was released, technically, at the end of December, so it didn't even make it into the new year. We only got it translated this year. I mean, I don't remember seeing any other translations of it before the year ended, unlike Attack on Titan, which also got released by Manga Stream same day. But no, in the end, Manga Stream's translation didn't come out until the new year, and, well, we kind of missed the ball on that one. But regardless, it still is an epic series, and I'm sad to see it go. But before I get too sob-mental, I'll save that for 7 minutes from now, I want to get into the other thing that I wanted to talk about just as much as Tatsumi finally getting the goods, which most people originally thought would be Akame, and then mine, and then Some people are like, oh, mine should die, and then he can fuck Akame. No, Akame can go off on her own. Something else I'd also like to talk about at some point. But there's the other big-tittied bitch of the series, Leone. Now, as many of you remember, at the end of last month's chapter, there was something beastly and obviously feminine, you know, standing in the shadows. Something that was obviously going to be tied to Honest's eventual death. Sorry, my English is not as good as when I took the SATs. But, no, it seems that, in the end, Honest's death was very eventful. But I'll get to that after I'm finished with Leone. Many of us thought that could be Leone, but there were some other theories, like Akame got 0 characters left over. Thing is, we don't know how many people survived that. On the other hand, while translators did stop translating around chapter 13 when the Raws got real shitty, and then I could find maybe up to 14, 15, or 16 on some site, I forget where. But I recently looked up and saw that the actual, Viz translations are far past it. Like, volume 6 or 7 or something. I actually remember when the manga translations first started coming up almost 3 years ago, where I realized now, I thought, oh god, we're going to have to wait another year and a half to get to this point. It's been more than a year and a half after that. So yeah, it makes sense that America would finally be caught up. So I'm going to be catching up with Akame Zero. Since there's no real schedule to follow with those, I'm thinking I might do a manga review per volume. Just so people have some idea where to go. Remember, they can be picked up at like Barnes and Nobles and such, and when I finally pick them up, expect some kind of review. But back to the main series, which is gone. That Leone was kind of surprising, but the main reason that was a bigger theory than, say, Akame Zero was because of two things. 1 or 2 chapters ago, when we were talking about Tatsumi becoming a dragon and fusing with his Tegu, they wondered why Leone's, Tegu, which basically granted her immortality, was not something of a similar nature. Obviously, since it was talked about literally right after her death, which nobody knew of other than us, the viewers, there was obviously going to be some sort of thing bringing her back in, forcing her back into the spotlight. That was not a question. So, put 2 and 2 together, you get a sexy, furry Leone. Very sexy and very furry. Very boobalicious. But nonetheless, she just parties out her final couple hours and finally dies of her wounds. Basically, the fusion only finished after she had technically died. And it basically restarted her body for a little bit, but in the end the wounds kept up with her because it was not a complete fusion like Tatsumi's was. So in the end, she was not immortal, she was just a walking corpse. With boobies. Like a, High School of the Dead type shit. But better executed. Either way, the only things left to talk about are the Empire and Akame. Let's talk about the Empire. It's all done. I mean, I guess in terms of how executions worked back in the day, the Emperor would have to die. It was nice to know he survived the destruction of his Supreme Tegu, but kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth knowing a young kid who, all in all, was not only being used, but was a very proud and lovable child who probably, if not been raised by Honest, or brainwashed by Honest, actually, he wasn't even brainwashed. He didn't even know what he was doing. Like, his death was just for the fact that he is the Emperor. Didn't matter that none of the choices were his on his own. He still had to die for the sake of it. And that's where his attitude in that comes to the point where, yes, that was actually a perfect send-off for his character, too, because in the end, everything he was told to do, he thought would be for the good of the people. And now, with all of that exposed and done with, he knows that just having his head lopped off will do way more good than anything he's ever done or could do. Then again, he was only 10. What could he have really done? In the end, he's dead. So, yeah, that was pretty sad, but worthwhile. And the only other thing to talk about is Akame herself, which there isn't too much to talk about. Maybe there'll be a spin-off one day. I'd actually like to see that. Would you guys like to see a spin-off of Akame's post-story tales? Because honestly, that sounds like a brilliant idea to me. And I'd love to see that. Sure, she's got the markings left on her. From what I've seen of the anime's ending, especially after Watch Mojo stole my fucking idea of a top 10 animes that need a full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment. Fuck you, Watch Mojo! I had it first! And never executed it. I think I did talk about it once or twice, though. Either way, I saw that the anime had similar endings. And, as I've discussed in the comments with some of you, that was mainly due to the fact that the mangaka worked so closely with the anime staff. So, of course, that would be the case. So, I want you guys to know, what do you think about the chapter? Will you guys miss it? What do you think about the prospect of a spin-off? It's been Smalls Black 94. I hope you guys like, comment, and please subscribe. We're at 80, and please tune in for when I finally buy the Akame Kill Zero volumes. Till then, see you guys next time.